Hello and welcome to Valentine's Views here on the Big Blue View YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to support the work done here. All right, if you guys follow Big Blue View, you know that I do a weekly mailbag on Saturdays each week. Take questions to the bigblueview@gmail.com email address. Occasionally in the past, what I've done is I've used some of the overflow questions that I couldn't get to do video versions of the mailbag. What I'd like to do today is do another video version of the mailbag. Today, I'm going to use some questions that you guys have dropped into the comments here on YouTube. And I want to be honest, you guys can ask questions in the comments. You're not going to get me to engage in comments here on YouTube. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to get into conversations back and forths on YouTube here in the comments. That, for me is just that's a rabbit hole that I just do not want to go down. I try not to do that on bigblueview.com either. I go into the comments there occasionally to clarify something, or when I feel like it's absolutely necessary. But I try to stay out of there. The comments, that's for you guys. That's for the readers at Big Blue View. That's for you guys here, the viewers on YouTube. What I will do, if you guys ask Giants related questions, what I will do is put those into a video mailbag or use them in our weekly mailbag on Saturdays at bigblueview.com. And what I'm going to do today, I've got several questions that have been dropped into comments over the last two or three shows. So I thought I would dive into some of those questions today and give you guys the best answers that I possibly can. All right, I'm going to read the questions. I'm not going to use usernames, handles, whatever. I'm not going to do that, but I will read the questions. And those of you who watch the shows on a regular basis, you'll recognize your questions. So let's dive into some of that. And as I said, if you guys want to continue to send in some questions, I'll try to do more mailbags like this in the future. All right, our first question is, was Adoree Jackson really that bad last season for the Giants? I ask because he is still a free agent. The Giants can still use more help at cornerback, so signing him to a team-friendly or league minimum deal could be a help at the position. Any thoughts on this? Listen, the Giants, I think right now, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought maybe they would add more veteran cornerback help than they did, but I get the impression that the Giants are very happy with the young talent that they have. They added Andrew Phillips, third round pick out of Kentucky in the draft. He's probably going to wind up at the slot corner position. They've been playing Nick McLeod some in the slot in OTAs. McLeod should also be considered a competitor for the job on the outside as the second cornerback opposite Tay Banks. Right now, it looks like that job is going to go to Cordale Flott, but you'd have to think that Nick McLeod is a competitor for that, and perhaps at some point down the road, Trey Hawkins, sixth-round pick, who was impressive early last year during training camp, but trailed off and eventually got benched. Maybe Hawkins works his way into that picture. But right now, I think the Giants are happy with what they have. I don't see them signing or re-signing Adoree Jackson. And listen, was Adoree Jackson really that bad last season? Judging by his Pro Football Focus grades, the answer is yes. He had a career low overall defensive grade. His grade was in the 40s. Never before, when he had played a full season, never before had Adoree Jackson graded below the 70.00 mark. So he dropped off considerably from 2022 when he was at 70.8 to 2023 when he was at 48.6. And now listen, Pro Football Focus grades are not the be all and end all. They are not the only way to judge players. But when we look at grades like this, and when we look at numbers like what Jackson put up last year, dropping from 70.8 to 48.6 overall, putting up run defense grades that were below his norm. His tackling grade, 37.6, the absolute worst of his 7-year career, worst by far. He missed 15.7% of his tackles, by far the highest missed tackle percentage of his career. He gave up 65.9% receptions on which would have amounted to 54 receptions and 82 targets, 65.9%. That again is a career worst for Jackson. Yards per reception, 13.9 yards per reception, again a career worst. 98.3 NFL passer rating, the worst of his 3 seasons with the Giants, not the worst he's ever put together in a season, although it is actually the worst full season number of his career. But again, that shows 73.4% passer rating in 2021, 85.9% in 2022, 98.3% in 2023. And again, all of these numbers, you don't take them as gospel, but what they show you is a player who is showing signs that he is not the player that he used to be. At the age of, I believe he'll be 29 years old this season. He's played for 7 years. He's showing that he's not the player that he was. And the other problem, I like Adoree Jackson. I've had a bunch of conversations with Adoree Jackson over the years, in face-to-face conversations over the phone. A lot of, we've kidded each other for a couple of years about shooting a game of horse against each other. Something I would have liked to have done, to tell you the truth. Even at 63 years old, I can still knock down some left-handed jump shots. So I'd have fun with that. I'm just knocking, goofing around. I would enjoy something like that. But I like the young man. I like Jackson, but his play has tailed off. And the other thing that bothered me more than anything last year was not just the missed tackle rate with Adoree Jackson, but the fact that he turned down opportunities to make tackles as the season went along, as he seemed to feel like the season was lost and he wasn't going to be back with the Giants. In my view, as I watched games, it was clear to me that there were too many times Adoree Jackson was making business decisions not to make tackles, not to put his body in harm's way. And really, when a guy is going to do that, do the guys that he's played with really want him back? I don't know. I don't know how people feel about Adoree in the Giants locker room, but when Joe Shane looks at that, when assistant GM Brandon Brown looks at that, when defensive coordinator Shane Bowen looks at that film, does he want a guy who clearly turned down opportunities to try to make plays, to try to make tackles a year ago? So all of those things for me, show a player who really wasn't interested in coming back. So, and as I said, also, a player who's showing signs that he is perhaps not the player that he was even 2 or 3 years ago. So, no, I don't see Adoree Jackson coming back, even on a 1-year veteran minimum deal, which I'm not even sure he would accept, to be honest with you. But I think that the Giants and Jackson have parted ways, and Adoree will eventually find another home and another NFL team. All right, let's look at another question. And this one involves Daniel Jones. And the question is simply, is Daniel Jones considered ahead of schedule in his recovery from his torn ACL? And I don't think the answer to that is yes. I think the answer to that is that he is right on schedule, right where he expected to be. When we've asked Jones about that, that is what he said. He feels like he is on schedule. He feels like the target has always been for him to be ready for training camp, to be ready for week one. He feels like he is on target for that. Granted, it's not quite 7 months since his surgery, so it might be a little bit surprising in some respects to see him out on the field in 7-on-7s, to see him, moving left to right, uh, looking fairly comfortable. I mean, he's not running at full speed, but I would say that Daniel Jones' recovery is going well and that he is right where he had expected or hoped to be, as we get into the summer months and start to look forward to training camp. Another question about Daniel Jones' ACL injury question is, was Jones' ACL a partial or a total tear? I ask because of how well his recovery is going. Not wearing a brace, which he's not, is a pleasant surprise. If it was a partial tear, that could be why his recovery is going so well. To my knowledge, this was what is considered a full tear. Now, I don't want to swear to that. What I do know is that this injury only involved the ACL. There was no MCL damage. There was no PCL damage. There were no secondary injuries. It was a pure ACL injury. So I think that, more than anything else, is what is really helping Jones to recover in a somewhat timely manner, and helping him to look as good as he does right now during OTAs, moving around in 7-on-7 drills. And mind you, there's absolutely no chance in these 7-on-7 drills that he'll even get bumped by accident, because there is no pass rush. There's just Jones having a coach snap him the ball, and having wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends go out in pass patterns. So there's no chance he's going to get hit, but he appears to be on schedule. And I do believe that the recovery has been a clean recovery, mainly because there were no injuries to other ligaments in Jones' knee. All right. Another question regards the Giants' offensive line, and this regards a young offensive lineman who was put in a difficult situation in 2023. And the simple question is, does Marcus McKethan have a future on the Giants? McKethan at this point is a third-year backup guard, drafted in the 5th round by Joe Shane in 2022. McKethan missed his entire rookie season with a torn ACL, missed most of training camp, missed the entire preseason, missed half of last preseason as he rehabbed from that ACL injury, was thrown into the starting lineup in week 2, and really honestly wasn't ready for that. I talked to him at the end of the year, and he basically admitted that he wasn't ready for it. He admitted to me that it was hard because he heard all the noises. He heard what the defense was talking about. He heard the crowd noise. He heard the sideline noise. He heard everything. Rather than just being able to drown everything out and focus on what he was supposed to do, he heard everything. He was thinking about everything, and that made it very, very difficult. And the young man had very little practice time before he was thrown into the lineup. So it really, I'm not sure why the Giants did it. I know that Mark Lewinsky had an awful game week 1 last year against Dallas, and all of a sudden week 2, Marcus McKethan was the starter. But McKethan really didn't have the reps under his belt at that point to be ready to be a starter, at least in my opinion. Does he have a future on the Giants? At this point, I would say that's a maybe. McKethan is competing for a backup job. Josh Azudu is competing for a backup job. Aaron Stinnie is competing for a backup job. There's a lot of there's some experienced guys competing for spots here. Austin Schlottman is a backup center that the Giants signed in free agency. So whether McKethan makes this roster, I think is 50-50 at this point. He could be a guy who slides to the practice squad in 2024 if he clears waivers at the end of the preseason. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see how injuries affect the depth at the position. I know that most organizations, and the Giants are no different, most organizations hate to give up on draft picks. McKethan has done nothing wrong. He's a big, strong young man. I've talked to him a few times. Nice young man, good teammate. It's a tough situation. The Giants' offensive line was so bad last year. They're looking to turn the page with new players. A guy like McKethan's not going to get much of an opportunity to crack the lineup. So if there's a spot for him as the ninth offensive lineman, say, maybe he cracks the roster. I think it's more likely that he ends up getting waived and lands on the practice squad if he doesn't get claimed. As far as long-term future, that again is anybody's guess. We'll see if he's still a Giant come this September. All right, our final question of the day involves the Big Blue View podcasts, and some of you may still not be aware of the fact that SB Nation 6 or 8 weeks ago now at this point made the determination to eliminate the actual podcast platform across the network, not just for Big Blue View, not just for Valentine's Views, and for the Chris and Nick show that we also offered on the podcast platform, but across the SB Nation network. There are no longer full audio podcasts. What we're doing, we are continuing to do all of that content, the same interviews, the same discussions, all of that content, just as we were doing before, only now it's just me, sometimes with Tony Del Genio of Big Blue View, sometimes with Nick Filato, but we're doing all of that content, all of those interviews here on the YouTube channel. So I apologize to those of you who miss the audio podcasts. I know that that it was great to listen to sometimes while you're out for a walk or while you're on the treadmill. I wish we were still doing it. I won't deny that, but the content can still be found here on the Big Blue View YouTube channel. And as I said at the top of the show, I appreciate your support here on the channel. So please like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, Giants fans, that's what we've got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed the quick mailbag edition. Please drop more questions in the comments. We get a handful of good questions. I'll try to do another mailbag here if we get overflow, to bigblueview@gmail.com, and I've got questions I just can't get to in the weekly mailbag. I'll continue to use the YouTube platform here to get to more of those. So I hope you guys keep sending in your questions, and I hope you guys keep enjoying the shows that we're doing. So thank you very, very much for listening. Please stay safe out there. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.